At this time, I'd welcome to the podium Congressman Roscoe Bartlett. I believe he is here, and I'd like someone to accompany him if we can. Thank you. We also expect during the course of the day that Congressman Trent Franks will join us as well. But I just wanted to say a few words about the Congressman. First of all, I was very pleased to be a member of his district. I would be living in Cumberland in Western Maryland and working there and also in Annapolis for a number of years. And I hadn't known much about him. I had been the lead of a group of companies that was organizing a strategy to deploy and obtain investment for broadband technology in rural areas. And at the end of that report, we basically said, if you're a rural place, you don't have enough customers to attract the leading investment in your area most of the time, because you don't have the financial attractiveness for that to happen. And the strategy we came up with basically said, we need to use the truth about our remoteness in rural areas to our advantage, which was that we could be a great place for a backup data center or disaster recovery center. And we basically said we need to be able to convince urban-based governments and the private sector to put some of their most special assets in these rural areas, like Cumberland, Maryland, and Allegheny County, where the Congressman was represented. And it was a great strategy. And then we had our final report come out in January 2004. And as I was going around explaining what that strategy was all about, people started asking me, have you read Congressman Bartlett's report? And I said, what report are you talking about? And so it turns out that during the course of January, or from January on, I kept hearing about the Electromagnetic Pulse Commission that Congressman Bartlett helped author and lead. And it basically had this very simple message. Somebody could take a very relatively inexpensive nuclear weapon, a 5-10 kiloton weapon, stick it on a very inexpensive crude missile, put it on something like a freighter 200 miles offshore, launch it over someplace over Pennsylvania, 80 miles high or something, detonate it, and in nanoseconds impact critical infrastructure from Boston to Atlanta to Chicago. And take out all of those data centers or disrupt or damage those data centers that I was advocating for. And I said, great, I've got all these people ready to come to my rural area, but the rural area is going to be collateral damage. He just undermined everything I was just doing, in effect, with that single message. And I started looking at this problem, and I said, this sounds like the one I used to work in the computer industry during the Cold War. And then this is more of an introduction than you need, but for those who are IT people, you'll understand. When you type on your computer, bad guys can sit in the parking lot and intercept those signals. It's what we call hacking today. There's a program for that, but I never imagined somebody in the van or somebody with a nuke is going to send EMP signals to us and disrupt our infrastructure. So I had to really become engaged in this. And from that moment, I started working on it, but I discovered Congressman Bartlett. And he was one who was in Congress as a scientist. He's Dr. Bartlett, okay? He has 20 or so patents. He has been recognized by Congress, by his peers, for leading concern about energy and peak oil issues and things like that. So it was no surprise that with his great curiosity, intellectual background, and experience, that he would lead that charge that became the Electromagnetic Pulse Commission, which we will hear from later today, and Dr. Pry and others will talk about that briefly. But he has a wealth of background. If it weren't for him and his work, we would not be doing what we're doing today. And I just wanted to make certain that, first of all, we give Congressman Bartlett a round of applause and welcome him to us.